Mike, what's going on? For years you've condemned me as a racist, and you just lost your job.
Who's that?
Mike, you know, some fat dude who does talk radio, talk TV.
I think he's a much more nasty kind of figure, if you like, in the way that he goes about doing things.
I think he's a scumbag. That's what I think.
He's realised that actually behaving like a thug isn't really the way to go. But there was a time when he did. And so I don't think I need to apologise to him, you know.
Mike, I want to talk to you about some of your critics on the right, because to me this is one of the most interesting aspects of your cancellation.
Yeah.
Whereas usually you would expect a lot of people who are on, I mean, people use lots of different terms to describe us, you know, people who is maybe further to the right than the mainstream media would usually be on your side. But because of some of your previous positions on some of these key protagonists in this space, indeed, they weren't really like that. In fact, some of them were actually celebrating your defenestration. Now, you know what my view on this is, Mike. Like, I don't agree with you on everything, but I think why it's going to be so important to have you in this independent space is because we need to start having these discussions and these debates. And also, there is going to be a freedom that comes when you're unshackled and you don't have those sort of corporate ties. But I just want to go through a couple of these and get your reaction. So the first and probably the most prominent is Tommy Robinson. The activist who is behind the Unite the Kingdom rally. And in the past, and these posts went viral again, you'd said some pretty tough things about Tommy Robinson. You said the bloke is an idiot. Free speech is intact. He's supported by the Tommy Robinson moron racist brigade. You don't need to look any further, mate. You'd said, isn't it amazing how easy it is to hook the racists in when you mention Saint Tommy of Robinson, not his real name, and a rich furrow of planks who are now all experts in the law of the land. Give me strength. And you also said, tell that to your racist mate, Tommy Robinson. Do you still stand by that? Because another great guy in this space, Paul Thorpe, who has his own independent broadcast, and you know he likes you, Mike, but he messaged me when I was saying I'm going to be speaking to you, saying you're a very likable guy, but you lost a lot of respect when you threw Tommy Robinson under a bus. Given recent events, would you like to apologise to Tommy and accept that he's a decent guy and a patriot and not a far-right racist? Up to you, brother.
Yeah, I mean, I think Tommy Robinson's probably going to be okay without my endorsement, to be honest. You know, he's got a very big following, much bigger than mine. He and I have been going at each other for as long as I can remember. You know, he's called me a lot of names too. But, you know, we're all big boys, aren't we? I mean, I don't think I need to apologise to him. I'd quite happily...
Would you debate him?
Maybe.
I'd like to host that.
Okay. But I don't see... part of me, I get this a lot, and people go, why don't you just debate him? And he said it as well. Why don't you debate me? I don't debate about what exactly? You know, because we're not actually that far apart on some of the things that we think. I think he's a much more nasty kind of figure, if you like, in the way that he goes about doing things.
So is it more the tone of Tommy rather than what he has to say that upsets you?
I think so. And the fact that also when we first kind of locked horns, he was, you know, perhaps a very different individual, but he was threatening to come to the office and, you know, find me and bring a load of, you know, there was a time when he used to go around, you know, with his followers.
Well, there were protests even quite recently outside the Talk offices.
Oh, were there? Well,
but that was in regards to something that Piers Morgan and Peter Cardwell had said.
Oh, okay. I mean, you know, there is one out there once in a while, but I mean, you know, there was talk of him. There was a time when he used to kind of, you know, if he didn't like a particular journalist, he would go after them, you know, in a way which I always thought was a little bit beyond the pale, which was kind of why I saw him in that light. And I think perhaps he's maybe modified his behaviour since then, and he's become a slightly more, what you might call, respectable figure, because he's realised that actually behaving like a thug isn't really the way to go. But there was a time when he did. And so I don't think I need to apologise to him, you know.
So you thought some of his behaviour towards you was thuggish?
Yeah.
And that's what you didn't like?
That was where it all started, really, you know.
He responded to your... Well, whatever it was.
I mean, he tweets about me
quite to you being taken off air. What was interesting, his first response, I guess, got a little bit of backlash because some people said, "Look, you shouldn't celebrate someone taking his job." He then explained, this was all public, this was on X, and I played it on the show, but I think it's only fair now that you're here that you can actually respond, because he made some specific, I'm not going to say that allegations, but claims that you were not taking a sexual abuse case seriously enough. This is what he had to say. Watch this.
Hold on, Mike. What's going on? For years, you've condemned me as a racist, and you just lost your job. Mike, you know, some fat dude who does talk radio, talk TV. For years, all he ever does is use his platform, and every time he talks about me, he condemns me as that far-right racist. He's got drunk and he's got pissed up, posted loads of racist stuff. His true feelings come out. You were masking, you were fucking... It's brilliant.
Good, he's got time to exercise now.
Do you want a job with us, Mike? Nah, mate, don't employ racists. Let me just give you some context for why I'm laughing. A few years ago, there was a sexual assault at Centre Parks. I was on holiday at Centre Parks. And that sexual assault was against a child that's close to me. What Mike did at that time, so a sexual assault against a child close to me, Mike used his platform to belittle it, to mock it, and to say that it was fabricated and that the child was lying in order to promote my racist agenda. That's what Mike did. So of course, I'm very angry with Mike. I think it's outrageous behaviour. I think it's immoral behaviour. I think he's a scumbag. That's what I think, yeah? So, if you see me laughing, I wouldn't usually laugh at someone losing their job. I wouldn't usually laugh at... I don't believe in cancel culture, but Mike's an arsehole, yeah? Mike belittled a sexual assault against a child that I know, yeah? And he done it out of his hatred for me and his allegation that I'm a racist. So to now see Mike lose his job for the allegation of being a racist, the full 360, yeah. I don't shed any tears. I'm not sympathetic to the man at all. He's an arsehole. He's continually used his platform to attack me as a racist with zero evidence. Yet, look, there's evidence against me.
See, for me, Mike, this is such a shame. And I'll tell you
By
why
the way,
it's such a shame.
just before we comment on that,
yes.
the incident, I believe, that he's talking about at Centre Parks resulted in him being arrested for attacking someone. That's actually what happened. And that was the context for me to say, because he was basically saying...
So you don't feel that you were belittling...
Dan Wootton Outspoken is available as a podcast too. So to listen or watch us on the go, wherever you are, then please subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. And as a personal favour to me, please rate and review, as it really helps our independent show.
Not at all. No, the reason that he said that he assaulted this guy was because there was a sexual assault on a child, and that was his excuse for beating the guy up. That's what my recollection is.
I guess what I think is such a shame is that I think you're both brilliant people, and you're both going to be incredibly important in what is going to be, honestly, a fight to save this country.
Yeah.
And can you understand that people sometimes think, well, why are you turning your fire on Tommy Robinson? I understand he's also turning his fire on you when... Look at who's running the show. You know, look at Zara Sultana and Jeremy Corbyn's mob. Yeah. Look at the tit whisperer, Zach Polansky.
Oh my God!
Like,
I mean, where does that guy come from?
I know. But do you know what I mean? Like, do you think now that you're in this independent space, there is potentially the possibility of at least putting some of that acrimony behind you?
Listen, I'm all for peacemaking at times, you know, but I also think we should all be grown up enough to understand that, you know, we don't all have to agree on everything. I mean, he's just called me an arsehole and a scumbag 2 or 3 times, and apparently I was supposed to apologise to him. I don't need. I wouldn't ask him to apologise for that. You know, let him carry on. It's part of his shtick. That's fine. You know, I'll do me. He can do him.
But when you saw Unite the Kingdom, and look, I know what this is like, Mike. You know, I've been in the mainstream media, and obviously I kept pushing at the boundaries, and you know, that's one of the reasons why I was cancelled. But you couldn't watch. I mean, I broadcast the whole of Unite the Kingdom, right? We had over 1 million views. 100,000 were watching live at one time.
Wasn't it?
Yeah, you can't see that event, right, and think, because they're your They're your viewers and listeners
Well,
right
the
there.
point, yeah, the point about that whole operation was that, there were some people who would be described as very right-wing, making speeches, right, on the stage where Tommy was.
Mm-hmm.
But there were also hundreds of thousands of other people who didn't even hear any of that, who were just there because they wanted to show that they care about the country, And I think there is an issue with what you might call the mainstream media calling all of those people far-right thugs. I mean, it happened at the weekend down in Crowborough, where about 2,000 people went out and marched against this ridiculous imposition of 600 migrant men coming there because the local council, haven't got the balls to say no, right? And I'm, by coincidence, on Saturday going to speak at the Pink Ladies demo, which is in Chelmsford, right?
I'm so happy
now,
about this.
That might be, if you were to ask the question, because people will say, oh, Mike's gone a bit far right. Why is he going there? Because some people will say they're a far right group of thugs. They're not. They're a group of women and children and families who care about their country.
I did see that, though, and I did wonder, and I thought this was very exciting. Already it feels like maybe you're not prepared to, but if that might be something that you would have felt nervous about doing when you were at talk, not because you didn't believe in those women, and trust me, I love those women, but because you might have been concerned about the reaction from your bosses.
Well, one of the problems, as you know, about working in a big organisation like that is that you have to sort of ask permission to do things like that. And if they say, we don't think that's a very good idea, then you're not doing it, right? And that's the hold they have over you. But, they pay you well for that. And so people go, well, this is where we're going to position ourselves.
So was it just awesome to be able to say, yep, I'm coming?
It really was. I was very flattered when Orla Minahane asked me if I would come. And I was like, yeah, why not?
Lucy Connolly's there as well.
Yeah, I think so. And she's now associated with you here.
Yes, she's on the Superstar panel here. And again, to me, she's a voice of the people.
Yeah.
And
she was at Reform Conference. It's not like she's
on stage.
Some kind of extraterrestrial person that should be shunned, which is what a certain portion of the country thinks. They think
a very
she's a
small
racist
portion, I would argue, but a very powerful portion.
But and also most of the people in the media, and I think there is definitely a sense that there is a kind of us and them mentality.
Yeah, there were a couple of others though who surprised me because. They're people I respect, and again, I want to give you the opportunity to respond because obviously you've seen that we've played this on Outspoken. Because, look, for me, I always held my hands up and said, I love Mike Graham. I think he's going to be an absolutely brilliant addition to this space. But I accept that, of course, there are two sides to the argument. But I want you to be able to respond to these people directly.
Okay.
So one of them is Connor Tomlinson, who's a regular on this show. I think genuinely, Mike, one of the smartest, young men in this country in terms of wanting to save the country. You've been very tough about him in the past. You posted, Connor, listen and learn. You're a nobody. No one cares what you think. You'll never debate me. You're not clever enough. Goodbye. You
like it.
You posted to Richard Tice saying Tomlinson is a moron. Ignore. So when he came on Outspoken, this is what he had to say about your situation.
Mike was always rude and belligerent and quite dismissive, and so that's part of the charm that people that like listening to him enjoyed listening to. Mike decided to attempt to shit on people like me from a great height, and so has shrunk the number of people willing to come to his defense based on principle. What the suggestion seems to have been is Mike, drunk or sober, had made the ill-advised post and upset people with whom he shares a floor at TalkSport, caused discord in the building, and the News UK didn't think they could defend it. And I could find out where, when, and using which IP address or phone she had used to get into the account. That's all available via Facebook. So Mike could have just provided that as a screenshot to News UK, presumably as a piece of evidence that he was hacked. If he didn't, then, well, we can only presume he wasn't hacked. There was a big moral panic in the English press about rampant racism in Britain against black football players. And Mike, the following day, had said, well, you know, we don't want racists in the country. If you're racist, you can leave or you can go to prison. Ta-ta. And it's like, well, Mike, unfortunately, when you post stuff like that, when you've already said that people deserve to be not just deplatformed, but, you know, ostracized from civilization, well, you set up the standard for it to happen to you too. I don't think that they're going to be able to replicate the same audience sizes if they change out their main talking heads with loyal organic followings, and so if they keep caving to Ofcom pressure or political sensitivities, or even if just their hosts do silly things like this, because this is on mic, frankly, they're just going to lose talent, lose an audience over time.
So, I mean, he was quite fair in a way.
I mean, he's
there.
obviously been really deeply hurt, hasn't he, by me being rude to him. I mean, what age is he? 10? I mean, come on, for heaven's sake. He's still, I mean, he's literally quoting things that happened years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, that thing where I said,
Yeah.
you know, you're not clever enough. I
Yeah.
mean, that was many years ago,
Yeah.
right? And it was because he'd been on Peter Cardwell's show.
Yes.
And had been banging on about digital currency and they're all going to be bringing it in. And, you know, at that time, you know, my belief was, you know, the World Economic Forum is a waste of time. It's run by this stupid old git who it now turns out is also a sex pest of one kind or another. Because of the way the world is now being run, the WEF is practically nowhere. Nobody gives a damn about it anymore, right? And Klaus Schwab is not really the powerful man, because I never believed he was. It was jolly for people to go on, and there was this kind of school of thought, which was very much a kind of conspiracy theory to me, that, you know, every single world government was being told exactly how to behave. And there are still people out there who'll be listening to this, no doubt, and saying, Mike doesn't get it, you know, because that's what they're doing. And we're all going to be taken in by this credit system, and we're all, you know. And yes, you can say, well, Tony Blair wants to do it. And, you know, there's all of that. But and he became very kind of arrogant about it. And because I can't remember exactly how it started, but I think I just said, that's a load of old cobblers. And he just went, you must debate me on this, Mike. You absolutely have to, you know, and it was kind of like, I was like, who do you think you are? You know, because he wasn't doing what he does now. He wasn't part of the Lotus Eaters or whatever it is he's now doing, right?
Well, he's independent now, but obviously, but you'd attack the Lotus Eaters as well.
The Lotus Eaters asked me to go on their show. I mean,
but you should.
Yeah, maybe. But the point is that, you know, what's the matter with these people? Can they not have somebody have a go at them? I mean, you know, I grew up in a Scottish household, right?
Yeah.
We argued with each other all the time.
So you think, let's have these debates?
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely. But, I mean, stop being so bloody offended. I mean, what's wrong with him? He's some kind of snowflake, you know. Mike was rude to me, shut on me for a great heart. I really didn't.
The other clip that has gone viral, and this was from Talk a few years ago, but it was Maya 2C, who's a brilliant independent broadcaster, who actually put this viral. And he posted, never forget, all these mainstream media voices were calling everything and everyone racist until just a couple of years ago, but now they see it as trendy to say right-wing things. They're all on Talk TV and GB News, all fake, and no, they haven't evolved their views. I know them. And the clip in question is of you on a call with a woman who is talking about the Great Replacement Theory. Now, I believe the Great Replacement Theory is not a theory, it's a fact, right? Because
well, I disagree with you.
You just have to look at the stats. But I'll show you the clip, and then you can respond, because this was going viral.
But first, this episode of Outspoken is brought to you by Manscaped, the global leader in men's lifestyle and grooming. And I'm very excited to say the heat has finally arrived overseas. The Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra in the White Hot Special Edition colorway from Manscaped is now available across the UK, Europe, and Australia. It's the same trimmer trusted by millions of men, including me, now with a clean white and gold finish that looks just as smooth as it shaves. But this isn't just a pretty face. The Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra is built to handle your most sensitive areas with care, helping reduce the risk of nicks, cuts, and irritation where it matters most. So whether you're cleaning things up for a day, to trip, or just to feel a little bit more pot together, the White Hot trimmer makes below-the-waist grooming a whole lot smoother. Literally. Join over 12 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped and use the code Outspoken for 15% off your entire order at manscaped.com. And to the ladies in the Outspoken audience, trust me, this is a fail-safe gift for your boyfriend, your husband, your son, your brother, or your hard-to-buy-for male best mate. The blades are designed to glide over the skin with less tug and pull, helping the bloke in your life avoid the usual redness or irritation that comes with lower quality trimmers. It's simple, effective, and doesn't require a whole routine. Just pick it up, clean up what you need, and move on. Whether you're using it in the shower, on the go, or standing over the sink before a night out, the White Hot 5.0 Ultra fits into your day without getting in the way. Plus, the white and gold design actually looks good. You won't be hiding it in the bottom drawer anymore. White Hot looks, smooth results. The White Hot 5.0 Ultra brings the heat without cooking your skin. It's sleek, easy to use, and way less terrifying than whatever you were using before. Use the code Outspoken for 15% off your entire order at manscaped.com. That's 15% off with the code Outspoken at manscaped.com. But now, back to the show.
Tell me how somebody next door to you has been replaced by somebody else. Have you got a theory on that?
Sorry.
Yes, it's on the ONS.
No. I'm looking for actual evidence. You're telling me that people are being replaced. Can you tell me of any friends of yours who have been taken away and replaced? Do you know what the word replace means? It means taking something away and replacing it with something else. Do you understand what that actually means? You have no evidence that anyone's being replaced, do you?
Only according to what the demographic experts are predicting, but that white...
Oh, it's a prediction. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realise it was a prediction. I thought you were telling me that people were actually actively being replaced now.
Yeah, it's called the replacement plan. It's on the United Nations.
Oh, right. So when does the plan kick in? When does it start?
I think it started a while ago.
Did it? Whoa. What, so you mean there's already loads of people that have been replaced in Southend then?
Yeah.
Right, OK. So do you know anyone that's disappeared in Southend? Because this is a great story now. I'm thinking that we should get into it.
But Mike, you were being unfair on her, weren't you?
Probably, yeah.
Because at the end of the day...
But again, that was my shtick, you know. That was kind of what I did. And I was sometimes purposefully rude to people.
Yeah.
You know, it's a spur-of-the-moment thing.
Yeah.
It's not like I spend my life going, I have to counter this mad conspiracy theory. It's kind of... The joy of doing the show that I did, it was like a tennis match.
Yes.
I didn't know who was going to come at me. I didn't know what they were going to say. I didn't have any, prepared answers.
Yes.
And often it was just off
and
the cuff.
obviously at that time, I get it, right? Like if you mention the great replacement theory, because I know this because I was there, you know, oh, you've got to stop callers talking about it. We would be told that, right? Like, I understand how this happens and how this works.
Yeah.
And obviously one of the joys of the independent media is you don't have some
Right.
Ofcom officer or the Ofcommunists, as I call them. I know that that's
Right.
what used to happen because
Yeah.
I was there at that time.
Right.
Basically, if a caller raised the great replacement theory, you know, you were told you basically had to cut them off or do what you do, which is, you know, argue the point. But do you understand now that actually it isn't just a theory? Because, I mean, if you look at our biggest cities, right,
Yeah.
we are, as the white native population, in all of our biggest
But
cities,
again,
our minority, and that's what the replacement is referring to.
But it's not actually, because what the replacement is referring to is that this is a plan which came out of the United Nations, which was an instruction which was given to every government in order to do what is actually happening. I mean, the end result maybe is the same, right? But what I'm saying is that I don't believe that there was an actual document which, you know, and I know the document they refer to, I've read it, a document that was kind of circulated to all governments to say this is what you have to do. That's the bit that I object to, right? That's the bit that I disagree with. I don't disagree with what is now going on and the fact that there is incredible kind of, you know, cultural and demographic change going on. Absolutely no question. And of course that's true.
Yeah.
But I just want people not to fall for, because there are people who kind of take advantage, I think, sometimes of other people and kind of make money out of it somehow, encourage them to think these things, you know. And I just feel like if I have a reason to say, hang on a minute, I think this is incorrect and this is what I believe is happening. And maybe I was a little bit disingenuous there and I was a little bit rude. But again, that was kind of my shtick, you know.
And I mean,
I'm much nicer now, by the way.
well, yeah, I was going to say, on the other side, you know, the lefties, now we're going crazy at you for things that you were saying about the Islamists. So, you know, look at, for example, I think we've got it actually, what you had to say just before you were taken off air, actually. I thought it was brilliant, about Ayub Khan, you know, who's one of these hardcore. So just watch this.
Pakistani community and the FA, says Anna in Surrey. And Louise says, good morning, Mike. Louise from Ipswich. Aston Villa might as well have put up a sign saying no Jews allowed. This is blatant anti-Semitism. I'm frankly ashamed of Aston Villa. I'm ashamed of Birmingham. I'm ashamed of the police in Birmingham. These people have no business in our country. And this bloke, Ayub Khan, whoever he is, should go back to Pakistan and practice his anti-Semitism somewhere where people appreciate it, because we certainly do not.
And of course, the lefties, Mike, said that you were being racist there.
Yeah, right. But of course, nobody complained to me about that inside the building, certainly. Nobody said you shouldn't have done that, or, you know, can you watch it, or can you be careful, you know. And that was the thing that kind of was the most encouraging, I suppose, was that I had been able to move into that kind of area.
And do you feel like your positions have evolved? Because, I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with that, by the way. If you look at the development of, and by the way, before people say, oh, you're supporting anti-Semitism, I'm absolutely not. Anyone who knows me knows I'm not. But if I'm just using him as an example, if you look at the development of Tucker Carlson since he left Fox News, for example, there is a change that happens when you can start to do your own research and not always rely on a bigger corporate. Like, do you feel like even before you left Talk that your opinions were evolving, and that maybe you were struggling with some of the limitations working, because you have to work within a certain Overton window, don't you?
But because I was so successful, they kind of left me alone to a large extent.
Because you were the number one most popular show on Talk by far, right?
By a long
online
way.
and in the other figures.
Yeah, absolutely. Because they had all these different platforms, you know, all of which were, you know, I was number one.
And you were number one on them all.
On all of them.
And so you didn't have people coming to you saying, "Oh, Mike, you know, you're just pushing this a bit too far."
Not really, no, not really. But I suspect that maybe that was coming, you know, because given if what the TalkSport leaks would suggest is going on, there was clearly people out there, from what they're saying, who were getting more and more frustrated with the things I was saying and the things that I was posting, you know. But again, the other thing that's changed is when you talk about the Overton window, you know, we now have a political class who just tell lies all the time. You know, I've never seen it as bad as this, you know, where they try and tell you black's white and, you know, this is not a banana, it's an orange. And you know, that's not a man, that's a woman with a penis. And you're going, rubbish, frankly, I'm sorry, you know. And even with Shabana Mahmood, to go back to her, talking about we've, you know, deported 50,000 people. It's the same 50,000 people they deported last November. You know, it's just rubbish.
I mean, you have also had a huge amount of support on the right as well. I mean, I just wanted to show a couple of examples from Abby Roberts and Lauren the Insider. Watch this.
Hello, it's me, Abby Roberts, comedian and troublemaker, and somebody who's very used to being censored and cancelled. I've just seen the news that Mike Graham has been sacked, or as the Americans say, canned from Talk TV for something he said or didn't say, or possibly offended somebody, or it was outrageous. I don't really give a shit. He has been sacked for his free speech. And because he refused to take part in a Maoist struggle session. Well, I've got news for you. Legacy media, including Talk TV, GB News, you're on your way out. You're on your way out. There's a new media landscape full of free speech, full of offence, full of words. Words that may offend you. So stop clutching your fucking pearls and wake up. Because it's over. It's over. Mike, come into the new media landscape waters. It's lovely and warm. I'll see you over there.
Another day, another casualty. Mike Graham has been axed, ousted. Be gone with you, Mike, from mainstream media. What Talk don't realise is they have just given Mike the biggest start in independent media, because People no longer want to hear propaganda. And he is a casualty because he's not fitting in with their woke agenda. I do not blame him for not giving them access to his phone and computer for their independent investigation. It's not an independent investigation, in my opinion. Why would you let the very company that has spent £1.2 billion in the phone hacking scandal anywhere near any of your electronic devices? No, thank you. This is another casualty that has fallen by the wayside in mainstream because of their woke agenda. They have hung him out to dry to make an example of him, to be seen to be doing the right thing. Ultimately, this is utter bullshit.
So, Mike Graham, loads of people
Yeah.
very, very excited about what your plans are. So, can you reveal exactly what is going to be happening in the independent space?
Well, we're plotting a comeback, basically, which we'd like to do sooner rather than later. It's still in the kind of planning stages at the moment, but it's going to be a morning show, and it's going to be fantastic. It's going to be full of callers, full of guests, full of voice notes, full of all the things that we used to do at Talk, the things that I used to do. And I think it's going to blow people's socks away.
So you're going to be back on air before the end of the year?
Yeah, I think so.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Totally independent?
Totally independent. I've got no interest in going to GB News. People have said, you should go to GB News. Well, I don't really want to.
Why is that?
Because it'd just be the same, wouldn't it? I mean, you've been there.
I mean, they offered you, I know for a fact, Mike, I don't know if you're allowed to say this, but
They did?
They offered you a huge amount of money.
They did offer me
to go there.
Yeah, what is called a something ton. But I didn't want to leave talk. I didn't want to leave news because I thought, this is the big organisation. This is where it's at. And I was very honest with them. I didn't, promise to go and then not go. I just was like, at one point they actually said, "How much do you want?"
And you don't regret that now, given what happened?
Not really, because I'm not one of those people that has regrets. I don't have regrets. I'm sorry that this happened. I'm disappointed in a way, but I'm also really excited about what's to come. I mean, I wasn't expecting this, but sometimes you just need a little.
I mean, I think it's
in the morning.
I think it's a blessing. I really do. I feel like I'm one of the people who can say that because I have actually been cancelled in a similar way, come into the independent space, understood how much more freeing it is, but also this is what people want. This is where the market is at. And what I always say, and I completely believe this, and remember, I've been inside and outside of the system now, the reason people want their news delivered by individuals is because you are far less corruptible. Because I'm sorry, with all the will in the world, if you are working for a billionaire like Rupert Murdoch or a billionaire like Paul Marshall, you are compromised. You are compromised. And in this space, I am owned by no one other than my audience, other than my viewers.
My audience is what I'm loyal to in a way, and I want to get them all back because I miss talking to them, and they're all fantastic people, and they've been very supportive of me during this difficult period, and they all want me back. They all want me doing something. And people are saying to me, like they were saying they couldn't have got through COVID without me. They miss me in the morning. I used to make them laugh because I've sort of evolved.
I woke up with you every single day.
And that also, listen, let me say this as well, because I think I've evolved from some of the things that people are moaning about, particularly on the right. The Morning Glory show was a funny show. It became a funny show because, you have to laugh at the most ridiculous things that this country is going through and the way the government's running it. So maybe I'm a slightly less objectionable character. Maybe I've evolved into that, which doesn't mean that I won't take the job seriously. It doesn't mean I won't be absolutely fighting for the same, issues that I've always fought for. But I do it with a smile now. Yeah. And I think that's what people like.
100%. 100%.
Thank you so much for watching Dan Wootton Outspoken. Please click on my face just to the bottom left to subscribe to this brand new independent news source and turn on the notification bell so you'll be alerted to our brand new live shows, uncancelled interviews, and special royal episodes. Outspoken is also now available as a podcast, so you can listen to the show every weekday on the go, wherever you are.